Call Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, call Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. All right, Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Bahashim, which means in the name of. Yahweh Shai is the name of the only begotten Son, who was sent to deliver the children of Israel from their sins. Bahashim Kakwadash means in the name of the Holy Spirit, which is the volume of the book, the Spirit of Truth. Shalom Abaharim, peace to the elect. That's the men, women, and children whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life, who's ordained to be delivered in these last days. Shalom to you all. And in this video, what I did was I went on ChatGPT and I put in what kind of pushback did Jesus' disciples get when they taught the kingdom of heaven, and I'm speaking, of course, in layman's terms so that ChatGPT will give me an accurate answer. And what I got was, it says Jesus' disciples face significant pushback when they taught about the kingdom of heaven, right? Now, one thing I want to point out is that the kingdom of heaven, all right, a lot of people have in their minds or have a preconceived notion that the kingdom of heaven will not be on earth, right? And that clear-cut evidence of it being on earth would be the Lord's Prayer, all right? Thy will, not my will, but yours be done on earth as it is in heaven, okay? The kingdom of heaven will consist of the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, ruling on earth and having the other nations in subjection, okay? With Yahweh Shai being on the throne and King David being right underneath and the 144,000 men being the governing body on the earth to control the moral conduct of the earth, which is being lacked right now. Okay, now remember what during the time of Yahweh Shai, when he was on the scene, he was there during the time of the Roman Empire. And when the Roman Empire was in power, they had what would be known as the Sanhedrin, or, the Pharisees, mainly Sadducees, which were basically political parties that were the faces of the Roman Empire and that would basically keep the children of Israel in the land of Judea and throughout all of Israel, Palestine, so on and so forth, in control, in check. But there were plenty of other political parties that were involved during that time that were completely in opposition of the Roman Empire and wanted to lead revolts. Okay, what made the Pharisees different is that they were the tax collectors. They were the boule, if you will, of that time. Okay, the gatekeepers will be the best word. All right, of the Roman Empire. Okay, so when Yahweh Shai came on the scene and he told the disciples to teach the kingdom of heaven, right? Essentially, what he's teaching is a separate kingdom, all right, on earth. Okay? But at that time, it wasn't the time frame for Yahweh Shai to be in power or to rule on the earth at the time. All right? So here in ChatGPT, it says, Yahweh Shai's disciples faced significant pushback when they taught about the kingdom of heaven. The resistance came from various groups and individuals, including religious leaders. The Pharisees and Sadducees often challenged, it says, Jesus' disciples questioned their authority and interpretations of the law. They felt threatened by the radical nature of Yahweh Shai's teachings, which emphasized love, mercy, and a personal relationship with the Most High over strict adherence of the law, right? Part 2, it says political authorities, the Roman authorities were wary of any movement that could incite rebellion or disrupt the status quo. The claim of Yahweh Shai as the Messiah could be seen as a challenge to the authority, leading to persecution of his followers, right? And again, see, the teachings of the Messiah was a threat. Now, what I did was I asked ChatGPT, can you give biblical evidence of number 2 of your explanation? It says, certainly the pushback from political authorities regarding Jesus, as it says, and his disciples is evident in several passages in the New Testament. Here are a few examples. Matthew 2, 1 through 3. It says, when Yahushua was born, King Herod felt threatened by the news of the king of the Jews, right? And this is a perfect example, all right? Because when you understand the history of who the Herodians were, all right, they were the kings in Judea, in the different provinces of Israel under the Roman authority. So if Yahushua was coming to teach the kingdom, then that would make it to where they weren't the kings anymore. So when he got wind of the Messiah being born, what did he do? He sought to kill him. Okay, and now all of this is relevant to now. All right, all of these things are relevant to now, because you see the men of the Lord, starting with the great millstone on the highways and hedges, preaching forth the kingdom of heaven and heralding Yahushua, right? It's a threat to the modern day Roman Empire, which is who? America, Babylon the Great. All right, and this is why you have Donald Trump with the, I heard brothers talking about it, I believe it's called the Persecution Act. I put Donald Trump. I may be saying it wrong. It'll pop up though. Yeah, political persecution. All right. Fact sheet. President Donald Trump eradicates anti-Christian bias. It's February 6th. Trump expands domestic military use, should worry us all. Oh, Insurrection Act, Salakia. All right, bear with me. Let's go to this one, www.aclu.org. See what it gives us. Yeah, Trump's expanded domestic military use should worry us all. This is an article. It says President Donald Trump use of the military domestically is dangerously and deeply misguided. There's growing concern that Donald Trump might invoke the Insurrection Act to bring the National Guard troops under federal control and deploy them within the United States. This speculation may be partly because of because one of the President Trump's inauguration day executive orders, which declared a national emergency at the southern border, set an April 20 deadline for the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to recommend whether to use the Insurrection Act. That date is approaching quickly, which that passed already. All right. Let's see. Let's go back. Oh yeah, me and the brothers was talking about that, right? And the last time it was actually enacted, right, going back to 1807, that was it was basically the Second Revolutionary War. All right, or basically the Second Revolutionary War, all right, where there was insurrection, where it was an act upon the government, all right, the people coming up against the current government, all right, and that's essentially Yahushua when he came on the scene. Herod, all right, in the Roman Empire looked at it as a form of insurrection. Okay, but remember, Yahushua said, what? If this was my kingdom, my servants would fight, because it wasn't time for the kingdom of heaven to be established on earth at the time. See, we're living in that time now. All right. But one thing I do want to mention, which came to my mind as I was looking at this, all right, is that one thing that had to be done is what? son of perdition needed to be revealed. And see, the world doesn't understand truly who the son of perdition is. All right. This is why you have to have the prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua on the scene. You have to have the proper testimony of Yahweh Shai. Okay, which is what? The spirit of prophecy. Once that spirit of prophecy is on the scene, then those who are truly in control will get exposed. Okay? I'm going to start at verse 3. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, right? And the first thing that fell away was the understanding of the children of Israel being the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right? Now, the true people of the Bible do not know who they are. Now, that had to occur. All right? See, when people try to break this down to say that this is the so-called Antichrist and he's supposed to appear and take over, well, what about the falling away first? How is that explained? Okay? It says, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Who's the son of perdition? Esau, Edom. The word perdition goes into destruction. Okay? And this is the son of destruction. Why? Esau, Edom is the son of destruction. Why? Because everywhere he goes, everything becomes diminished. As a matter of fact, bear with me a second. Let's go to Malachi. Chapter 1. I'll start at verse 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains waste, and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. Right, man? Because everywhere this man goes, he's going to be known as what? The border of wickedness. Okay? Everywhere he goes, he's going to create chaos and mayhem. All right? That's how he is the son of destruction. All right? Because when you set up law that is against the scriptures, you get nothing but, diminishing. You get nothing but collapse. Okay? So that's how we know that this man is the son of destruction. All right? The scriptures also tell you that his desire is as hell. Habakkuk chapter 2. Now this is prophecy, right? I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, and the just shall live by his faith. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, right? Just like how it's explained in Malachi, the first chapter, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And who has done that? Okay? The so-called white man, Esau, Edom. And it all goes back to who? The elite banking families. All right? Those who are in control of the World Economic Forum. Those who are in control of the international monetary system. All right? These are the people who have heaped all nations unto himself and enlarged his border as hell. Meaning what? Everywhere he go, he creates destruction. Okay? So, going back to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, okay, in verse 4, it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is God. All right, and you have all kind of quotes and all kind of legislation and decrees and laws being passed to where it's showing forth that this man is trying to be the Most High. Right? He has factories where he's creating meat and creating food, GMOs. All right. All these things were placed already on the earth, and which was created by Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. This man, Esau, Edom, is basically saying to the world is that, look, the setup that the Most High already established is not needed. So he's exalting himself above the Most High. Okay? It says, or that is worship, so that he sit. So he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High, right? Meaning he's the beacon of light. He's the one that people are looking at in regards to information and guidance and moral conduct. Okay? Remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things. And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. And see, what drummed me to actually go into this was that I was wondering and looking to see if there ever was a time that Yahweh Shai actually spoke up directly toward the Roman Empire, which essentially he didn't. The only time he really did was when he condemned Herod. That's it. Outside of that, when Pilate came up, he didn't condemn Pilate. He didn't curse out Caesar, none of that. But what he did was he spoke to the Roman Empire through those religious institutions, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. So as he was cursing them out and rebuking them, it was essentially a rebuke on to the Roman Empire. However, in this time, we're calling out the Roman Empire because he's being revealed in this time. Okay? It says, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Okay? Now, in the NIV, it says, for the secret power of lawlessness is already at work, right? Who's the secret power of lawlessness? Okay? The elite banking families, what the world will call the Illuminati. All right? The higher-ups of Esau. Back then he was in power, then he went down. See, and that's the spirit, because I had Revelation. See, this is why you have to understand prophecy. Revelation, the 20th chapter. It explains these things, right? I'll start at verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid on the dragon, that old serpent, which is called the devil, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, right? So there was a period in time where Esau, Edom, through the power structure of the Roman Empire, was cast down. All right? But there was a point in time where he came back after 1,000 years, which is who? That the devil, Satan. This is the son of perdition. These are the code words for Esau, Edom's power structure. It says, and cast him to the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till that the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. Now this is all coincides with this man being revealed in his time. Okay? And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given to them. All right, and that's the point. That is the point right there. Okay, and if you understand Revelation, the 20th chapter, all right, it jumps. Okay, yeah, it skips in history. Okay. However, this is exposing the time frame of the downfall of Edom, Rome, to the uprising of American Edom, or basically the revamp of the Roman Empire, which is brought to fruition through the American Constitution, and America as an empire in itself, because this is Rome all over again. Okay. So going back to ChatGPT, it says, certainly the pushback from political authorities regarding Yahweh Shai and disciples is evident in several passages in the New Testament. Here are a few examples. Matthew 2:1-3. When Yahweh Shai was born, King Rod felt threatened by the news of the King of the Jews. He sought to eliminate this perceived threat by ordering the massacre of the infants in Bethlehem, right? This illustrates the fear of political authorities regarding the birth of Yahweh Shai and the implications of his kingship, right? Because, and also what proves that Yahweh Shai is going to rule on earth is because when he came on the ass's colt, they were ready to king him in that moment. Okay? They didn't say, well, we got to die in order to go to heaven to receive the kingdom. No, the children of Israel understood when the Messiah was to come that they will rule on earth. Oh, as a matter of fact, in the book of Acts, chapter 1, okay, we'll just go straight to the point. You know, when Yahushua was going back up into the heavens, all right, the disciples asked in verse 11, I'll start. It says, which also ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up in heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you. No, I skipped it. Salakia. I think it's 7. Verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? Right, because when you understand the history and the Great Commission and what Yahushua was training them up to do, he was training them to teach the kingdom of heaven. All right, the kingdom of heaven essentially is an opposition and a challenge and a threat to Roman authority at that time and what we know today as America. Just want to highlight this. It says, he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power, but ye shall receive power after the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost part of the earth. And that's more reason why Yahushua did not rule back then, because the uttermost parts of the earth didn't hear of the gospel. We're living in that time right now where America, throughout the major cities, all right, even all the way to Alaska, Hawaii, all right, the different islands, you know, you got brothers out there who are teaching the kingdom of heaven and pushing forth the kingdom of heaven. Basically chanting down Babylon all over again. Okay? When he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This is the same Yahushua which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Right, the same way he left is the same way he's going to return, where all eyes are going to see him. All right, it's not going to be a poof vamoose and you have people disappearing and this whole concept of the rapture and you're wondering why people are not around. All right, no, and then there's going to be none of that, man. No, when Yahushua returns, all right, the elect is going to be delivered in same fashion. Okay. All right. So let's see. It says, John 11 and 47 through 53. After Yahushua raised Lazarus from the dead, the chief priests and the Pharisees convened at a council to discuss the growing influence of Yahushua. They feared that if he continued to perform miracles, the Romans would come and take away their place and nation. This led to the decision to plot Yahushua's death, showing their concern about maintaining political stability. That's right. You can look these scriptures up for yourself, and it's clear as day. All right, that when Yahushua spoke up against the Pharisees as he was doing the miracles and preaching the kingdom of heaven, it was a threat to the Roman authorities. Okay. This is John chapter 11. I'm going to just go straight to the point. I'm going to start at verse 49. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of the Most High that were scattered abroad. Salakia. Verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. Let's see what it says in NIV. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation. Yeah, man, the temple was a facilitator of Roman authority. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it, And I'll read number 3 and 4. It says, Matthew 26 and 3 through 4. The religious leaders, including the chief priests and the elders, conspired to arrest Yahushua secretly and kill him. Their actions were motivated by the fear of losing their power and influence, as well as potential backlash from Roman authorities. Let's get that one. Salakia. Let's get that one, man. That's good narration from ChatGPT, man. See, the scriptures tell you can do nothing against the truth before the truth. All right. It says, then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Yahushua by subtlety and kill him. Right? Basically, this is the same story, but narrated differently through Matthew as opposed from John. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. Now, when Yahushua was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, all right, well, that's the point. That's the point. Okay, that is the point, man. All right, they plotted to kill him. Okay, why? Because it was a threat to their position when it came to the Roman authority. All right, a lot of people don't understand this, man. And a lot of the things that we understand being in the truth are very deep unto people who truly don't understand the Bible. So if you don't know you're a Hebrew Israelite and then you don't have the proper teachings, all right, this may be new to you. All right, and this is why a lot of people have a misunderstanding of Yahushua and his purpose. Okay, and what he did and how he was viewed, all right, while being on the earth during Roman authority. Okay, Acts 4 and 18 through 20. After Yahushua's resurrection, Peter and John were arrested for preaching about Yahushua and performing miracles. The Sanhedrin Jewish council commanded them not to speak or teach in the name of Yahushua, indicating the pressure from religious and political authorities to suppress the message of the kingdom, right? All right, and you have the same spirit that's on the earth today coming up against the men of the Lord who are teaching the name of Yahushua, all right, and being persecuted in the name of Yahushua. All right, that's why I said in the near future, you have the likes of the IUIC. Okay, I will not be surprised if these guys are set up to do some form of damage control when it comes to the name of the Lord. I mean, like physical damage control, roll up on brothers and things of that nature. Start marching and encompassing brothers and threatening brothers, which that's what Comfy wound up doing. All right, meaning the ICGJC, they wound up doing that. And they wound up jumping and physically assaulting the bishops of Great Millstone back in about 2002, 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Why? Because they were set up by higher authorities. So it's the same concept nowadays, okay? There's no new thing under the sun, all right? To where you have these, basically IUIC is a political group. You can say that. They're a religious political group. Okay? And they're running amok. And as a matter of fact, there's accusations brought up against them. Dude that used to be in a school got shot, jumped, arm broken, threatened, all right, set up, trapped. Okay? So I would not be surprised if they are given orders to do that to particular Israelite groups, all right, that are and particularly teaching the name of the Lord. Okay? So I'm going to close on that. With that, Lord's will, the elect is edified and you learn something. Call Lord Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Shalom to the elect.